Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, today on the Dungeon Dive, we are going to continue our look at Warhammer Quest as part of the Dungeon Dive Masterclass series. And in this episode, we're going to be focusing on the official expansions that were released for the game. This game was pretty well supported by Games Workshop. Maybe not quite as well supported as Blackstone Fortress, which they supported the heck out of Blackstone Fortress. But Games Workshop does have a history, a tendency of releasing a game and just calling it finished and then moving on to something else. And I typically don't mind that, especially when it is a game like Warhammer Quest, which has been so expanded by the fans and the community over the decades. But I know some people get a little upset at that. I don't mind when a game is just released and done. It makes collecting, it makes storing, and it makes buying it much easier. But they did a pretty good job of expanding Warhammer Quest. Although I think some of the two main kind of big box expansions, I feel were just a little bit stingy with what they offered, especially in terms of cards. But let's take a look first at the warriors, at the various heroes that you could buy. And I think these really did a good job of adding variety to the game because each of the heroes plays different from each other. They have new weapons, they have new skills, new powers. And when you combine the various heroes that you could buy, the various expansion heroes with the 4 base heroes, you do have a lot of variety in the composition of your adventuring party. And that's where this game gets really fun. So I have most of the expansions. I am missing most of the material for the knight, the Bretonnian knight. He is very expensive, and I've never been able to find a complete copy at anywhere close to an affordable price. So I've just used facsimiles and photocopies and stuff. And I also don't have all of the boxes for all of the expansion heroes, but I have the box here for the Pit Fighter. So the Pit Fighter, you can read a little bit about him. So basically, when you're going to get one of these expansion boxes, you will get your mini. You will get a character card that has all of your base stats and weapons and like their basic level 1 stats and powers. You will get some kind of usually an extra weapon that they start the game with, and maybe some kind of extra item. The Pit Fighter starts with the Pit Flail and the health potion or the Heal It potion. And then you also get a little pamphlet, a little book that contains all of the elements to use this warrior in the RPG mode, in the advanced game mode of Warhammer Quest, of saving this character, progressing this character from game to game as they gain in power, gain skills, and some various things that they get to do in the settlements that other heroes can't do. So these little expansions are pretty cool. I don't remember, I think I have a price here. So yeah, so $14.99. When was this? This was probably 94, 93. So I'm not sure. I'll put on this screen how much that was in with inflation. I'm not sure if that was a good deal or not. $14.99. I feel like even today, if I don't know, if Flying Frog released a single hero box expansion for Shadows of Brimstone, I wonder how much they would charge. I bet they would charge like $20. Maybe 15. I'm not sure. We'll have to take a look at the price. But so I have the box for the Pit Fighter there. I have the box for one of my favorites, the Chaos Warrior. I'm really glad I got a box version of this expansion. It is a little beat up though. This is probably the worst shaped box that I have. But the Chaos Warrior, clad in heavy iron armor and wielding his mighty death-dealing axe, the Chaos Warrior is an inhuman killing machine. He is a fearless ally, a deadly fighter, and a powerful opponent to any who stand in his way. His powers are really cool. Lots of very random kind of chaotic things that will make every game with the Chaos Warrior an exciting one. And then we have everybody's favorite, aka everybody's least favorite, the Warrior Priest, a healer that could actually end up damaging you. The Warrior Priest here. Oh, we didn't read the back of the Pit Fighter. Pit fighters are brutal warriors trained by years of bitter, bloody fighting for their lords and masters. Those few who win their freedom often put their battle skills to use, searching for the lost treasures of the old world. And the pit fighters are great melee combatants. But here we have the warrior priest. Years of grueling training. Yeah, right. I imagine that this guy's training consisted of just lounging around the monastery. But years of grueling training mold warrior priests into men of great faith and courage. They fearlessly wield their mighty warhammers against the foul creatures of darkness, destroying evil in the holy name of Sigmar. I do like the warrior priest a lot more in Silver City, or Silver Tower, I should say. And once again, Little Monk has kind of rebalanced all of the heroes. So again, you don't need to buy the original sets. You can find proxy minis, and then you can go to the fan page on Facebook, and you can gain access to the private forum, and you can download all of the materials that you need to play the warrior priest in your DIY versions of the game. It's very easy to do. You don't have to cut out a lot of stuff. And Little Monk has gone through and rebalanced and made some of the heroes less powerful, some of them more powerful. I also have a box for the Witch Hunter, which is another one of my favorites. I love the Witch Hunter. He is so much fun. I always love pairing the Witch Hunter with the Chaos Warrior. It makes for a fun time. But the Witch Hunter, experts at destroying demons or supernatural foes, Witch Hunters carry holy water, ancient symbols, and powerful potions at all times. They have no fear of battle and often resort to the time-honored traditions of a gun and sword. In a lot of ways, the Witch Hunter is kind of, for me, the prototypical old world style character, because he has kind of everything that I imagine in the old world setting. He has a cool saber, he has a flintlock pistol, he has magic potions and spells. He's got the cool kind of a Chicon the Magic Man? Again, I remember in my original videos for Warhammer Quest, I forgot, but the Chicon game for, I think it was like Sega Genesis or Neo Geo or TurboGrafx, this kind of like pilgrim hat there with the cape. He just looks like the prototypical old world style adventurer. I love the Witch Hunter, super fun. And then the last box I have is for the Imperial Noble. This is probably my least favorite of the characters. I hate noble characters in games. I hate the aristocracy and just anybody having any kind of like noble lineage just completely turns me off. I hate it in real life, and I can't suspend that I can't suspend that disbelief in my games of fantasy. But the Imperial Noble can be a really fun character to play, especially if you get into the role playing. He's very proper, and he's all about how he looks and his fashion, and it is kind of cool. But swordplay and arrogance are second nature to Imperial Nobles. The thrill of adventuring outshines the tedium of life at court, and many nobles set off for the most dangerous areas of the old world in search for glory and treasure. Okay, so now we're going to take a closer look at some of the materials you get with your expansions. And here we have the mini for the Witch Hunter, and a classic Citadel pose there. I love it, really chunky and nice metal there. You will get your original cardboard printout here, or your original cardboard character sheet, I should say. And it will have you all of your basic stats for your level 1 hero, your wounds, move, metal, weapon, skill, ballistic skill, strength, toughness, initiative, and attacks. It tells you what you start the game with, what equipment you have, what weapons you have, what kind of armor, your pinning for when he is engaged in melee combat, if he wants to break away to go into range combat, what he will need to roll, and any special rules that are going to be written on the back of what you need to play this hero. And the main special rules with this hero, of course, is faith. You have these faith tokens that you can accumulate, and then you can spend those to do cool things. And then each of the heroes will come with this little pamphlet with tiny, tiny little text. I wish GW would have splurged a little bit more and maybe added like 4 more pages to these pamphlets so they could make the font bigger, because I do struggle to read these, and I know a lot of us older Gamers, as our eyes get older and don't work quite as well, also struggle, but you will get everything you need to play this character, a cool little backstory. You will get various rules for how to play this, how to play with bigger groups of warriors if you want, and then all of their equipment and armor. And then here is your advanced rules that go into the details of what this hero can do in a settlement, the various buildings, the various special places that they have access to, and then what happens when they level up, what they can spend their money on, and all kinds of different things. So each of the warriors really does add a lot to the game. The various heroes in Shadows of Brimstone, they don't add quite as much to the game because they don't have their own unique things that they add to the settlement phase of that game. And then a lot of the warriors, I think most of them will come with at least one or two other pieces of cardboard here, which will detail their starting weapons and their starting equipment. And then here we have the Pit Fighter, the Pit Fighter's card there. And the Pit Fighter has his Pit Flail and his Heal It potion there. And then the Pit Fighter's book here, we can flip through. These books are basically, each one is the same as far as how it's laid out and the information that it offers. Just all of the details are custom to each one of the heroes. And here we have the Chaos Warrior. Again, the Chaos Warrior, one of my favorites. Always super fun to play. Always just kind of a crapshoot of what the game is going to be like with the Chaos Warrior because of these various random things, these chaos attributes that you get to roll on every time you play a game with the Chaos Warrior. Always crazy. And yeah, it's really, really fun to pair up the Chaos Warrior with the Witch Hunter and have them going after a bunch of monsters together. You just never really know what is going to happen. And that is one of the best things about Warhammer Quest. One of the things that I love most about it is that chaotic sense of randomness. Oh, I forgot to show the Pit Fighter mini. Sorry about that. Pit Fighter mini is there. Pretty cool little mini. And the Chaos Warrior mini is here. This guy is really chunky, really heavy mini. Okay, so next up we have the Elf Ranger. There's the Elf Ranger's mini. I have never painted this mini here. I don't play the Elf Ranger often. The Elf Ranger is interesting though because you can kind of pick a build. You can focus on a ranger build, or you can kind of focus on more of a mage build, and it's kind of interesting there. One thing that the warriors do, so the treasure, a lot of the treasure was, you would pick up a piece of treasure and it would tell you what of the 4 starting classes could use it. So dwarf, elf, wizard, or barbarian. So because of that, a lot of the original treasure had only those classes available, they would assign the expansion warriors, they would assign them one of those classes. So of course, any expansion elf could use anything that an elf could use. But some of them, they had to get a little bit more creative. Like, what is the Chaos Warrior? Is he a barbarian? Would he use dwarf weapons because of big axes? He also has magic, so would he use elf magic or mage magic? And so they had to get a little bit creative and say, certain warriors can use these certain weapons that a dwarf or a barbarian can use. So that's kind of how they had to go back and kind of like retcon the way that they assigned classes to some of the weapons. Kind of unfortunate. They should have maybe assigned a more generic class like fighter, mage, rogue, that kind of thing. But the Elf Ranger, you have your starting equipment there, starting as a Ranger Knight, your Blades of Death skill. You will come up with your War Crown of Tiradoc there, and then your Elf Ranger Mage, and the spells that you have available there as a starting Ranger. And then the book here, you go into all of the basic details there, starting as a Ranger Knight, Elf Rangers and Treasure. Again, it tells you what treasure that you can use. Limitations of treasure equipment, so how, what it goes into more detail of the kind of equipment that you can use, Ranger Knight, and then it goes into your spells and what you can do in settlements. So the Elf Ranger can actually visit the Wizards Guild because, again, they can spec into magic if they want to a little bit more. They have a noble house that they have access to, and then all of their various skills and spells that they can have access to when they level up. And the Elf Ranger actually comes with a pretty long little background story. Okay, and then next up we have our Imperial Noble. Again, a mini that I have not painted. And the Imperial Noble there is his card there. And then he has his Ancient Heirloom. So he starts with an Ancient Heirloom, and he has a rapier. I don't think that I can't remember if he came with a little rapier token or not. He also is a duelist, so he comes with... he can use some guns as well. The Imperial Noble's rapier causes 1d6 damage and +1, and he also comes with his dueling pistols. And let me see the back of his box. Yeah, he did. I wonder where my dueling pistols are. Oh, that's the dueling pistol. I think I showed that for the wrong... I think I showed that for the Witch Hunter on accident. Yes, I did. This is actually for the Imperial Noble, not the Witch Hunter, but the Witch Hunter can also use guns and starts with a gun. But yeah, that dueling pistol is for the Imperial Noble there. Sorry about that mistake there. But he has his Ancient Heirloom and like what that can do. And then his interesting thing, the most interesting thing about the Imperial Noble is his settlement events. He has access to these like high-end stores that only he can go into because of his noble, and the store is called Luigi and Salvatore. And he can go in here and he can buy like really high-end things, like a repeater pistol for 3,000 gold or a blunderbuss for 2,500 gold. He can buy a hunting rifle for 10,000 gold. So this guy, again, is pretty fun in a roleplay sense because he likes to spend big money. But yeah, pretty fun little character there. I just don't really like his backstory. And then here we have our Troll Slayer. So again, the Troll Slayer was actually introduced in the base game, but then they did release a standalone expansion for him. I don't have his original mini, and so this is my mini that I use for the Troll Slayer. And then the Troll Slayer here has one of the thinnest books. And this guy's book is really small. This is a very simple character to play. And he starts the game with some stone bread, and he also has his rune axe there. And so here you have all of your special rules that you will need to play a Troll Slayer. Those guys just want gold, and they want to kill, and they want to die in battle. All right, we have our War Dancer here. Really cool mini. I like that. It kind of looks like an Eldar from 40k there. Eldar, those were my guys when I played 40k for a couple of years. And we have our basic card here. We have our Belt of Orion, or of Ariel, I should say. So that is one of his starting pieces of gear. And then we have our Swords of Orion there. And then here is the book. This is a nice thicker book here. The Elf War Dancer has some interesting things going on in combat. In melee combat, they can move around the battlefield quite a bit. They have access to some of the same locations that other elves do, but they also have some bespoke locations unique to them. And they have their events there, and then how they level up and all of that. So pretty basic character, but pretty cool also. And what you're going to notice, of course, is there were no female characters in Warhammer Quest, or the original Warhammer Quest. And that's a real shame. I'm really happy that modern games have started becoming more diverse with their characters, because as I've said many times before, to the chagrin of some viewers, which always blows my mind, but representation in fantasy gaming is super important. But yeah, representation is super important. People like to see themselves represented in the heroes of the fiction and games that they enjoy playing. And I've seen that firsthand playing games with my wife and her friends before. They like it. They love seeing, characters that do represent themselves on the table or on the screen. It's couldn't be more important in our hobby. So I am really happy that Games Workshop has started increasing the number of female heroes and different types of heroes in their games. But here we have everybody's favorite / least favorite, the Warrior Priest. He is a cool mini. I do like his mini a lot. That big book there is really cool. And I do like his cape. Capes are always fun to paint. But then, so you have the Warrior Priest. His special rules. He starts with his Holy Book, and then his Ring of Jade there, and then then his book here that tells all about his special times in town and what he can do to pray and hopefully get better at casting spells because he's not very good at it. And then finally, I do just only have this Bretonnian Knight mini. So this is the Bretonnian Knight mini that I use when I want to play this character. And I just have a printout of Little Monk's sheet that I use for when I want to play this character. I don't play the Bretonnian Knight much. It might be because I don't have the stuff for him, but I have the stuff for everything else. So I'm like more prone to use the thing that I have all the stuff for. But he is a fun character. He does have some neat things going on for him. Another thing you get is, I didn't show these in the base game, but you will get these little tokens. And I know Shadows of Brimstone also comes with tokens like this. Basically, these are you can use these to mark places and settlements, or you can use these to randomize, randomize a hero for something that bad that's going to happen to the party. But each one of the heroes or the warriors will come with this little token. So if I do play the Bretonnian Knight, I just kind of have to use a proxy. I use one of the other ones that I'm not using to represent the Bretonnian Knight there. So overall, I think that the warrior expansions are really cool. They add a lot of good variety. They add a lot of easy variety. They add things that make the game feel a lot different without adding a ton of new rules and a ton of things you need to remember. But again, I do not recommend going out and buying the originals unless you just have, unless you were super blessed with a lot of money to burn. They have gone up so much in price since even I bought them. And but just go on, find Little Monk's versions, and you can have a great time playing with just some proxies and using his rebalanced heroes. So another official expansion that they released, I only have a facsimile of. I have my DIY version. And that is because this was like the rarest expansion. This was the Pits and Perils expansion that came with 3 different boards that you could play with and a little pamphlet that told about the way to use these in a dungeon. And this was, I believe it was mail order only. This is so rare that I've actually never even seen one for sale. And it just adds a couple little twists and turns to your dungeon exploring. Like this is a bridge and it rotates on this little column here. And usually I think there will be enemies with arrows kind of taking pot shots at you while you are trying to cross this bridge. And then this is some kind of like rotating room thing. I don't use this very often because I usually have the cards for this kind of mixed in, and I only use these special rooms when I randomly draw a card, so it just doesn't come up very often. But these are pretty easy to make. Tiles are really easy to make. I just print out in color on nice paper, and I get this Canson mounting board, and I use spray glue, and I just attach it there. I get the Cranston mounting board that has a black front, so that my cuts don't have to be perfect, because I am a terrible person when it comes to crafting, and my cuts are never straight. I've never been good at cutting things. All right, so then after that, that is definitely the rarest. If you ever see one of those for sale, I'm sure it goes for like $800 just for a few tiles and a pamphlet. Another really cool expansion thing that they did was the treasure packs, and the treasure packs are a lot of fun. These add a ton to the game because the game doesn't come with a lot of treasure in card form. In the adventure book, you get quite a bit more treasure, but this adds even more. Each one of these decks of cards, and there are 1, 2, 3 packs of official treasure cards. Each one of these adds 54 pieces of treasure to your game, and these are really cool. So these are the original cards here, and I have replaced these with Little Monk's facsimiles that he had printed. And he also added a whole bunch of other treasure packs. I think up to 6 treasure packs now. And he's also created all of the basic gear, basic equipment that you can get in town and stuff. He has also made cards for those. I'm not sure if he is going to be reprinting those cards again. I think he has done 2 print runs, I think. But again, go to the Warhammer Quest fan page on Facebook, and that is the best way to stay on top of everything that he is doing. But each of the card packs, again, will just have a whole bunch of treasure. And in these kinds of games, the more treasure you have, the more loot you have, the more just variety you have, and all of the different things makes a huge difference. One thing that Little Monk did with his cards that he made is he added a piece of art to every card, because a lot of these actually don't have any art, which is a shame. There's treasure pack 1, and then you have treasure pack 2 here. Just kind of flipping through the Orb of Power. I love that drawing there, that Ogre Slayer axe there. It would be nice if the art was a little bigger. But some of the writing is pretty cool, and it is really fun just to have more treasure. And then here is treasure pack 3 there. So again, like this salve of strength, only the barbarian and dwarf can use, or any of the expansion heroes that can use things assigned to the barbarian or dwarf can use. That was kind of how they limited some of the gear to certain classes by limiting which warriors could use them. So there are 2 different kinds of treasure. There are the standard blue treasure cards, and those are the things that you're going to get just anywhere in the dungeon. But then you have special red treasure cards, and those are set aside for your objective room. So this is when you win a quest, when you beat a quest, you will get more powerful treasure, or a chance to get more powerful treasure. Okay, now let's look at the 2 big box expansions. So I only have one of the boxes, and that is for the Catacombs of Terror. I'm glad, if I had to choose one box to have, it would be this box, because this is my favorite of the 2 expansions. The other expansion is, of course, Lair of the Orc Lord. I'm not so much into orcs. Orcs are fine, but I greatly prefer skeletons and undead. I love undead enemies in games. I love skeleton warriors. So these were pretty cool. They came with some good material. They came with each one came with a cool quest book with some new things to do. But I think they were a little stingy in the cards that they offered. And again, the price here, let's see what the price was, $34.99. So $34.99 for that. And then how much did we say the warriors were? $14.99? $14.99, yeah. So I'll make sure to look at how much these were with inflation there. But let's take a look at the back of the box here. I love this cover there. Absolutely amazing cover. And then here we get everything that we're going to get. So you get 3 different tiles, actually 4 different tiles in this one, because you do get a little small tile there for the Flames of Kaza, right? And you will get a few minis. So you will get this mini here. This guy on the throne room is on his throne is super cool. And then you get his little spell book there. This little homunculus dude here, little jester, and then some tomb guardians there bouncing off the box. So you do get a few cool minis there. The interesting thing is these minis were included in the box in retail blister packs. So they didn't like repackage the minis to include in the boxes. They just threw in the blister packs that they would sell at retail. So the Catacombs of Terror. And the sun-scorched waste of the land of the dead king waits within the darkness of his pyramid tomb. Gunther Larenscheld, evil necromancer, seeks to restore the dead king to power, and only the heroic warriors can stop him. If they succeed, they will return with the treasure of his long-dead realm. If they fail, they will surely die. So this particular game, this expansion, included a pre-written adventure for warriors of battles levels 5 through 7. So the progress of the official kind of campaigns written for Warhammer Quest to be played were You started with the first set, then you would do Lair of the Orc Lords, and then you would do Catacombs of Terror. We're just looking at this one first because I actually have the box. So the book that this would come with was actually, this is a really cool book. I think this is one of my favorite kind of gaming supplements here. You do have a cool map on the back, and then this has a lot of information. So this, I think this expansion is the best as far as the 2 expansions go, but it is so expensive. And again, everything can be downloaded from various sources and you can just make your own. You will just have to proxy the minis. But I see these things go for like $700 and it's just not worth it. I don't know. Even if I had all the money in the world to burn, I don't think I would pay that much. I think I don't remember exactly how much I paid. I probably said it in my original video. I want to say it was about 200. And even for me, like that was splurging a lot for these. But you're going to get how to set up your expansion, a little bit of some great flavor text there, some John Blanche art there. And who did the, let's see, the interior art was John Blanche, Wayne England, Dave Gallagher, and Mark Gibbons. Kind of the typical crew for this time there. Really cool background information here. And then you get your Catacombs of Terror adventures. So the objective room that you're going to get here, this is your objective room. And then this objective room will, of course, have 6 different adventures. So here you have, this introduces multi-level rooms there, or it has the rules for multi-level rooms, I should say, the Dead King's Throne Room. Here we have our 6 adventures. Associated with that objective room, we have Find the Orb of Chalcedar, the Orb and the Dread King, Banish the Spirit, Retrieve the Grimoire, Escape from the Depths, and the Final Conflict. And here we have some advanced rules. So in the base game, you only traveled from a dungeon to a settlement. When you went back from the settlement to a dungeon, you didn't have travel events. This game introduces traveling events for when you're traveling from the settlement to the dungeon. So it makes things a little more deadly because you could arrive at the dungeon in really, really bad shape. Then you also have some new events for when you are playing this game. You can roll on this chart here to have more events. You have a whole section on magic undead weapons and items that you can find, armor. And then it has a whole new bestiary of all kinds of different creatures that you can fight. And it's broken up into levels. So you have levels 1 and 2, 3 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And here you have all of your monsters here for all of your undead adventures. So this is really cool, this bestiary that it added. And again, of course, Games Workshop wanted you to use the official Citadel minis for everything. But hey, you know what? No one can afford all that. So just use proxies. And then Andy Jones actually wrote some game mastering tips and guides on how to incorporate this into a more of the role-playing game. And here we have more story and more background. And then we also have then introduces our Game Master controlled game, which has 3 levels, I believe. So levels 1, Deep 2, and Deep 3. Actually, this goes to Deep 5. Yep. So this adventure here does go to Deep 5 there. You can play these solo. You just kind of have to read and just kind of like pretend you don't know some of the information. But sometimes these are fun to play solo. You don't have to play them with a game master, but they're definitely written to be played with a game master there. And then here we have some of our reference sheets, some handouts that you can pass out. If you're the game master, you can pass those out to your players. And then we also have, of course, these tiles here came with the game. And then we have our cards here. And these cards are the original cards. I have replaced my originals with the Little Monk facsimiles that he printed out. So these go into a little box and I just don't use these. So you get some information cards and these will contain some of the special rules that you will need to play with. And then you get your enemy cards there for all of your enemy encounters. And then you get these cards here for your non-combat encounters. You get your, I guess there was one more tile I forgot to pull out, but this Hall of the Dead. Sorry about that. I forgot to pull that out. And it is all the way stacked on my shelf, so I'm not going to. But that is what the card looks like there. That's what the tile looks like. And there is your objective room, and then there is your Flames of Kozla. Flames of Kozla also came, I think that was also introduced in an episode in an issue of White Dwarf. There's your Chasm of Despair. That is a great tile. I love the detail on this tile. It really looks like you're traversing this chasm there. You definitely do not want to fall off of that. And then your treasure that you can get in the game. So that was the Catacombs of Terror. That's a really fun expansion. I like that a lot. I like the theme, and I like the stuff that it comes with. And then, unfortunately, like I said, I can't show you the box for the Lair of the Orc Lord because I don't have it. But with this, you will get your box. You will get some minis here. So we have 3 kind of biggin orcs there. You will get your main orc boss and your orc shaman. And then you will get your little imp guy there and a squig. And then this jester here. We can take a closer look at the details of those as we look into the book here. Again, a pretty hefty book, though. This book does add a lot. It's just orc theme isn't my favorite. So there's Gorgut, and then your orc biggins. It's kind of showing the black orcs. Yeah, those guys are pretty deadly. Nice little backstory there. All of their expansions were organized in a similar way. So you always knew from page to page how the information was going to be presented. So there's Scabnose, the Orc Shaman, Bug Off the Snotling there, Gorgut, the War Boss, your Gibbons, the Goblin, Jester and Growler, the Squig Hound, and then your Orc Biggins. I only pulled out the objective room, so here is the objective room that you get with this expansion. We'll take a look at the cards for the other rooms. You also get a collapsed corridor here. This version of the collapsed corridor actually came from a Warhammer Quest or a Warhammer, a White Dwarf magazine, I believe. It's a little bit bent. And I made my own copy here. I accidentally printed my own copies of some of the tiles slightly smaller, so they don't quite match up in size, but hey, that's fine. And then here is the original one that does come with this set here. But you will have your basic information, you have your background on what this expansion has, how to use the various enemies that come with this expansion. You will get your detail on the adventures that you can have. Again, there are 6 adventures associated with this objective room. You will have your special rules about this objective room. Here are the adventures here. Stop the Wah and Atonement and the Magnificent 4, Impossible, a Hound for a Hound, and Stolen Goods. Here you have all of your things for your advanced rules here. Your events, when you are playing these adventures, you will roll on this event chart rather than using the standard event chart. And then you have all of your orc treasure that you can find, armor, items, and then all of your monsters, your new bestiary information for this expansion. You will have your level 1 orcs and various minions, monster special rules. And then you have levels 2 and 3. Levels 2 and 3, some special rules on your squig hoppers. Levels 4 and 5 there. So this adventure was supposed to be played again before Catacombs of Terror. So it only kind of supplies things for up to level 5. And then here we have our game here, our GM-led game. The adventure begins. We have Deep 1 there, and that goes into Deep 2. There's your layout for Deep 2. And then it goes in here to our layout for Deep 3. And then we have all of our information card. We have some new monsters there and some more information on the back of the box there. And then here are the cards that we're going to get. Again, these are the originals. So there are your information cards for your Sword of Malediction, Scabnose's spells that the Orc Shaman has, your Squig Hound, your Shaman's Den card there, and then all of your various event cards for your monsters and your non-combat encounters. And then you also get your dungeon cards. You have your card here for the dungeon room, the Shaman's Den, Gorgut's Lair, your objective room. and then a corridor that we took a look at, and then some of the treasure that you will get with this expansion. So that is basically all of the official expansions. I'm missing a couple things, but you got to take a look at most of it there. I think they did a pretty good job expanding the game. I would have liked to have seen more cards. And I think it would have been really cool if these big box expansions also came with a hero or two that were specifically designed for these two expansions. You know, some kind of undead hunter, some kind of skeleton hunter that came with this, or maybe this Lair of the Orc Lord. Maybe it could have come with like an Orc defector hero or something like that. I think that would have been really cool if they expanded these a little bit more. I feel like these two expansions, while the books are cool and while they do add quite a bit of variety, I feel like they're just a little bit stingy. That's especially true with today's prices. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the way that Games Workshop expanded Warhammer Quest. However, I think Little Monk and the fan community at large has far surpassed the work that Games Workshop did. And that is what we're going to be taking a look at in the next episode. So, all right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this masterclass series look at Warhammer Quest. We will talk to you later. Bye-bye.